Hi there, it's Kevin with the Rogue Market, here with a discussion on the Theros Beyond Death cards that I saw play on day number 1 on Magic the Gathering Arena, as well as using the data that we do have from Magic the Gathering Online. And I put together 5 of the Mythics, 5 of the most played Mythics from the Theros Beyond Death. Now, mind you, this is a bit anecdotal. I am in the Diamond League on MTG Arena, which is nothing to brag about. I got there just from doing the dailies, but Diamond is where the competition actually starts to get decent and people actually play legit decks. So these were the top 5 Mythics that I saw, as well as some of the ones that are trending on Magic the Gathering Online. Like I said, there's not a lot of data for MTGO at the moment. There should be more within the next coming hours, days, as Goldfish starts to accumulate that data from their various sources. So without further ado, let's get down to the top 5 cards, top 5 Mythics that I saw during my run today on Magic the Gathering Arena. And after this video is done, be sure to comment in the comment section if you did play on MTGO or on Arena, which ones you saw the most of. I think Mythics are the ones that we need to keep an eye on. Then, of course, we're going to look at Pioneer to see if any of these actually do see any Pioneer play. If you've been playing in the Pioneer Leagues on MTGO, your comments are more than welcome in the comment section below. All right, so starting off with the first one, this one was Fossa Deep Dwelling. Yes, I'm kind of eating my words yesterday that I said that I don't think that Fossa was very well positioned at the moment. Fossa still is awkward in Standard as far as going in the... I thought it could easily go in like a Risen Reef type deck to get the triggers off of it. However, I did see a deck that was using Fossa Deep Dwelling and the 2-drop, the Devotion where you scry, as well as it was a self-mill strategy with Jace and Ashiok, and then just other cards that self-milled, and then you Thassa Deep Dwelling, one of your, at the end of your end step, one of the cards that scried, and if you've gone through half of your library, you just outright win the game right there. So apparently the combo can be achieved quite quickly. It is pretty decent. You can actually use the mill type strategy against your opponents if you want to make that work, if you're going against like control or whatnot, and that gives you an option versus those particular decks. However, it probably will struggle versus like Knights or other aggressive based decks, so we'll have to wait and see if this is a legit deck or if people are just memeing with the Thassa Deep Dwelling. One of the things this price correction is actually because it's kind of funny how this price apparently this 43 was getting the wrong read. It was looking at a Thassa, only a couple listings of Thassa for the extended art that comes out of the collector's editions, and that's what it was at. And now we're getting a price adjustment because then people put on their pre-selled their Thassas. Oh, I'll pre-sell a Thassa for 40, and it caused this trend. But it already has gone down to earth. Card Kingdom has it at 20. I've seen a lot of other vendors like the Star City Games and the Cool Stuffs have it around about the exact same price, which is usually where Mythics, any Mythic, especially with like a God or a Planeswalker, is where these companies will start out with. So I think that this 40 is a misfire here, and then Thassa will go back down to where it should be. However, I did see this in my travels today in a deck that does run a mono blue scry, try to win the game instantly if you've gone through half your library. All right, the next one that I saw, and I called this one yesterday, was Ashiok Nightmare Muse. There were quite a few Esper control lists, various different builds, some with the Esper Hero, some with just the good old Esper control, but Ashiok seems to be a very good slot in the Esper control lists. The ability to protect itself with the 2/3 that then does get at least some sort of value, I guess, by exiling the top cards of opponent's library, but it's a 2/3. That's pretty reasonable for a Planeswalker these days. Liliana puts out a 2/2, and the return target non-land permanent to their owner's hand, and then they have to exile a card from their hand, is actually quite relevant in the format. So we'll have to wait and see if Ashiok does deserve that slot. I don't think that there will be many Ashioks. I'm not going to think this is like a Teferi that you're running 4 of in the deck, but if you actually look at the online is trending up. If we go back over to Thassa, online is actually trending down. So again, there's not a lot of data from the Card Horrors and MTGO traders with, it looks like there's only a few hours since this has been legal, but Thassa has been going down, meaning that there's more cards entering into the bot's pool rather than going out of the bot's pool, therefore it's trending down, and Ashiok's actually going up to give you kind of a comparison versus paper versus online. Now this is incredibly important because the online moves in real time, whereas paper moves in more of like hype train. It's just not instantaneous like online. Online shows true demand, whereas paper oftentimes will show like buyouts and things a lot more unreasonably than online will. All right, on to the next one, which is Croxa Titan of Death's Hunger. I saw this in two lists. I saw this in a Rakdos Control list with I think it was just the two adventure cards, the black one and the red one, the 4/3 and the knight that kill a creature and do 2 damage to a target, and then Croxa as the only finishers in the deck, and then they had a bunch of other control like the Bedevils and the Angrath's Rampage, and just tons and tons of control utilizing Croxa Titans of Death's Hunger as the finisher. So this one was quite interesting, but where I saw this a lot was both Food and Rakdos Sacrifice were putting these in their list. Now that's a good sign. If it makes actually 2 of the top tier decks, then I think that Croxa Death's Hunger has the best chance of going up. If we look at online, this is one that's actually gone up quite aggressively from $12 to $17 just in the day one on the online. So I'm expecting this one to recover the most. It has a lot of potential. The Escape 5 can be a little bit rough. I did test this in one of the decks that I was playing, and it did feel really good when you could get the 5 cards in your graveyard on time for it to come into Escape. But comparatively to its counterpart, the blue-green one, getting that 3 life is situational, whereas the 3 life off of the Euro Titan of Nature's Wrath seems to always happen. I wish they would have mirrored that it would just do 3 damage, maybe trigger. I don't know how they'd actually get it to work though. But anyway, I did see it in multiple different decks. I think this one is the real deal, and so keep your eye on Croxa Titan of Death's Hunger. Next one that I saw a ton of, this is number 2, so there is actually one that I saw more of, but Helo Suncrown. And this one gives you a lot of opportunity for cards that actually work around Helo Suncrown. So Ajani's Pridemate and Ajani were both in the list with Helo Suncrown, but there also was the rare out of Core 2020 that it was just the 2/3 flyer, the 2 Devotion 2/3 flyer. If someone can name it in the comment section below, I can't think of it at the moment. Actually, we'll go ahead and let's go ahead and find exactly what that card is. I believe it's out of Core 2020. If I remember correctly, it's just a rare that has a 2/3 flyer. See if I can remember what it was called. Yeah, not seeing at the moment here of what the card was. Just shout it out in the comment section below of what it was. 2/3 flyer. Players can't play, I think, lands from graveyards was what its ability was, and it's something. But it's just the devotion they're using it for to actually get Helioed online. Just going over the Core 2020, that also looks pretty interesting with the Bishop of Wings. That's another card that does gain life as well as has the 2 devotion for Helioed, so we could actually see like an angel build with Helioed. I think that's not too far out. For the Bishop of Wings is also a nice little 1/4, and also create some relevant, a spirit creature token with flying that actually is good with Helioed. So basically the decks that I did see though with Helioed were the Daxos, the legendary enchantment Daxos that is kind of a soul sister wannabe. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain a life, and when everyone dies, you gain a life. And they're just running the usual suspects of like the Healer's Hawk. But there was one good card out of the Theros that is the 1/1 lifelinker that you can sacrifice it to give a creature or an enchantment protection from a color until end turn. That is super relevant in this deck because you can actually make one of your cards unblockable with a protection from a color. And if you have a massive Ajani's Pridemate that just keeps getting chump blocked by cats over and over and over again, this is a way that you can actually get through. Why I'm saying this is I did lose some games to that exact scenario. I particularly play a mono black list with the cats, and you can just inevitably chump block over and over on a big Ajani's Pridemate, but that scenario did come into play, and I was not able to block, and it was lethal quite quickly. Another thing that got big quickly was like the flyers in the deck, whether they're playing either the Fairy or the 1/1 lifelinker, the Healer's Hawk. They can get massive off the Helo Suncrown quickly. So These type of decks, I am wrong. I think they do want to play 4 of in the deck, as they are probably the best card in the deck. It's the whole reason to be playing it, and it seems like they are putting a lot of work into getting Helo online, and so far it seems to be pairing up reasonably well in the meta with like things like food and Rakdos. I think that these type of life gain mid-range or even aggressive base strategies, definitely aggressive base strategies, are pretty well positioned. Where it might struggle is against the control list as well as against the Fires of Invention, but did see a ton of Helo decks on Arena at the Diamond League. All right, and then this leaves us with the card that I saw the most of. This is Euro Titan of Nature's Wrath. This card I saw in various different decks. There was an Elementals deck, so going back just to running like Cavalier and Risen Reef and Chandra and the other one that ramps if you have 4 more creatures, and so that would be what a rug or can't even remember the guild at the moment. The red, blue, green. And Euro also, I saw this in just like the blue-green ramp strategies. Blue-green ramp did very well at the last Mythic Championship, and this one does slot very well in the deck. I actually do think that it might be better than like Risen Reef because of the life gain that you get immediately. It's kind of like life gain versus a chump block versus possibly Risen Reef can go crazy with other elementals, but Euro doesn't really need to pair up with other elementals. You can just chuck it in any deck, and when it enters the battlefield, you gain 3 life, draw a card, and then you can put a land card from your hand on the battlefield. So it's doing exactly what you want for the ramp-based strategies. It possibly is ramping you up. If you do have a land in your hand, you are gaining the life and drawing the card. And the escape is quite reasonable if you are running other cards like Ops to throw in the graveyard. You might have to build the deck a little bit. Like Growth Spiral, though, is going to be in there. So Growth Spiral into your Euro Titan of Wrath, you've already ramped quite a bit. And then if you start getting just Nissa lands in the graveyard from attacking and or chump blocking, it's not too far-fetched to then escape the Euro Titan of Nature's Wrath. Where this also has really good synergies with the Cavalier. The Cavalier in green puts those cards in the graveyard. That's actually a pretty decent curve to go Cavalier into Euro, escaping back from the graveyard, and you have 2 pretty big, reasonably big creatures that are just going to take over the game against those aggro decks at that point. So this one I saw all over the place. It looks like online as well is trending upwards and already had a very good starting point, and so this one does seem the real deal. Last one, at least, I want to talk about the rare that I saw most. The rare that I saw the most was Shatter the Sky, and I saw this in Fires of Invention decks. They were everywhere in Fires decks. Deafening Clarion does work as their go-to removal spell, but it seems like Shatter is also quite good in the Jeskai lists. The one that I saw in the most was the Planeswalker version of the Fires of Invention. I don't know if you want it necessarily in the Cavalier versions of it, but there were plenty of times where opponents brought it in the sideboard as additional board clears, and with Fires of Invention, you can cast it on the same turn. You can go Shatter the Sky. Sometimes Deafening Clarion won't be enough to kill all of the creatures that happen to be above 3 or greater, so we're thinking like there's plenty of times that even a knight can get above at that point or whatnot. So Shadow Sky, I think, is going to be a premier removal spell. The drawing a card is kind of weird for giving your opponent a card, but I guess if you have like a Dragon out in the Jeskai Fires version, it's a way for you to draw a card if you have to destroy all creatures. But anyway, this is the card I saw the most of, so let's just go over it. So I saw Fossa. Fossa does seem to be trending down online. Ashiok trending up. Croxa is trending up. Helo is also trending up. Euro and the Shatter the Sky is also trending up. So these are the ones that I saw the most. Again, if you have particular ones you saw the most or ones that you have tested out that I might have missed. I did see some mono black devotion lists that were running both the Grey Merchant of Asphodel and the uncommon Timurit. That seemed to be pretty good. It feels like a Scavenging Ooze light in this format is a way to get rid of cats. So there are a lot more answers now against the cat deck. And it definitely will be interesting to see these cards in Modern and Pioneer, and that's what we really need to take a look at, because that's the staying power of these particular cards. So, of course, rotations always kill Standard. Whether a card can go long-term and whether investors actually invest in cards also has to do a lot with the card going up in values if they have faith in the card being able to last post-rotation. I think that's what we really saw with Arclight Phoenix, is not only did it see standard play, but it saw an eternal play in modern, and that's what we saw at the big price spike. So same thing with Brazen Borrower. That's the big thing about Brazen Borrower, was the multiple formats that it was seeing play in. So we'll keep an eye on Pioneer and Modern. Let me know if you're testing any cards, particularly in those formats. And yeah, I'll keep updating this as I see fit. This has been Kevin with the Rogue Market. Thanks for watching.